Hi, I'm Tom Edman with Global Sourcing Solutions, and I really want to thank you for coming in on the conference today. We are really trying to take these conferences and really help the relationships between the U.S. and Mexico, and really go after the nearshoring with all of the problems that we're seeing over in Asia right now. So
Right.
we think it's a real need, immediate need. And there's companies out there that are hurting because they have products stuck on the ocean and they can't get it off.
Well, and it's so expensive right now.
Oh,
Just to put something on a container ship, let alone to get it off. And that's the problem. You can't get it. It'll sit out there, but you won't have the parts.
Yeah, and then you have to fly. So that not only are you paying 4 times what it was 2 years ago, then you have to fly product over. And it's really hurting, especially the small and medium-sized companies. So that's our focus is, really going in and helping them not only now, but in the future find better suppliers that they can really, utilize, with a lot of flexibility moving forward.
I sure met some amazing people here. I mean, one of the things that I wasn't really ready for was just the high level of not only the manufacturers but the OEMs as well, the factories, and it just how much capacity there is in Mexico.
Oh yeah,
I had no idea. I mean, we were just talking about Chihuahua and how much there's 425 companies there that are all built in aeronautics and automotive. That I had no idea was that kind of infrastructure and ecosystem.
And their technology and skill set is really, really improving. And so, people don't have to sacrifice their supply chains anymore.
Right.
Right. And most of the time, and most people don't know this, but about at least 25% of cost analysis when they're trying to determine where to have their parts built is done incorrectly. And in reality, nobody understands that the labor rate in China is much more expensive than it is in Mexico now because China's gone up so much over the last few years.
Well, I think that was mentioned a couple of times where you could actually, even just general labor, let alone trained, you could get it substantially less than what they're paying in China right now. So.
Well, and just being able to have these kinds of conferences now, because the proximity is just so much easier to deal with quality issues and things. It's so much easier. You just jump on a plane.
Well, and I think quality is probably the thing I was hearing the most because, is what we're doing with looking at putting the blockchain in. It does make everything transparent.
Yeah.
So we're going to get a lot more resistance if there's quality issues that they're trying to hide, and they don't want that provenance and transparency to happen. Yep. And I wasn't getting any. Oh no, bring it on! We've got the we've got the certifications. We've got the people that are already really committed to quality, and that made me feel like, okay, if they're already that confident in their ability to show provenance, it's going to make it that much easier to get blockchain deployed.
Well, in every company in regulated environments, worries about the traceability.
Sure.
And what the blockchain does is really eliminate that issue.
Right.
And that is worth millions for companies.
It's interesting because I'm having this aha all the time as to how many problems it solves. We were just in a conversation today where we were discussing tariffs. And the fact that there's all this criteria around having to meet the ability to be imported or exported to whatever country. And that can all be codified. And then if you're certified to meet those, then it makes everything automated. So you're not having to wait months to see if you qualify. And that's a little bit like what Hester Peirce said when she said, you're like the TSA pre-check for the regulatory use of blockchain.
Absolutely.
Because now, rather than waiting to audit later or even with like a security, have to be investigated to see if you're compliant, you could be compliant from the very beginning. That TSA pre-check to know that you already are authorized to be transacted on. And I think that's something where anything you can do to reduce friction, right?
Absolutely.
In a market or in a process or in a supply chain is going to help with flow. And we just talked about logistics in Asia, but if you've got that around your quality, and then how much faster can we actually get things to market and not have the kind of expenses that we do now
Well,
when a recall happens,
right. Well, exactly. And on the medical device side, you know, when the FDA or an ISO or whatever the audit is going
Yeah.
to be, um, it's all hands on deck.
Right.
You know, and everybody's waiting outside the door, waiting for the next question, right?
Right.
And if they have all that information and you're audit ready all the time,
Yeah.
those audits are going to go a lot faster and a lot easier. But here's another idea too: is when you talked about the TSA PreCheck, what could I think blockchain could do is you could transmit um, container information or even truck information into customs
Yeah.
and have that pre-released.
Yeah.
So when it arrives,
Right.
there's no delays.
You've already got you just coined a new phrase for me, real-time audit ready. So, we can RTAR
Yeah.
all of on the blockchain, because when you think about it, it's to be ready is to just make sure that you've got all the data prepared. And now it only happens when there's an event rather than, and now it'd be much more inexpensive to just keep it current at all times. So you always
Absolutely.
know. And that, I think we forget that we've been doing things the same way for so long that we're used to, what that impact is. Now when you look at not having to have that, it completely changes what the flow might be.
Well, like not that long ago, I was with a medical device company,
Yeah.
and not only were you all hands on deck all the time with the audits, but the we could not do in the ERP systems full traceability.
Right.
And even when I was in aerospace,
Right.
you could not do that. It was literally done manually.
Man, well, and actually, one of our advisors was telling us every day there's $25 million in parts that are not capable of being used because they don't have the traceability on the
Exactly.
maintenance records. And it was like, yeah, because it's kept in filing cabinets and it has to be put into baggies, and they keep one. If they lose that tracking, they have no way to prove what the provenance of that part is.
Right.
And it blew me away that here in the 21st, that we're here in 2021, we're dealing with 1950 type problems. And,
Well, and there's such thing as the value chain too.
Right.
So the traceability going back through your supply base to the raw materials is the real difficult part because the ERP systems just aren't able to handle that communication very well.
And even with automation, you don't always know where that part was used.
Right.
Even if you define, this is the part that's the problem. Now, what cars what airplanes have that? And I probably feel more strongly about, not that I'm not worried about the safety of my car, but it's that when I get on a flight, I want to make sure it's been properly maintained.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to have an unforeseen problem, because I hear roadside support for airlines is difficult.
Yeah. And even going to the food, right?
Yeah.
How often do you hear
Right.
about lettuce recalls and all of this?
Right.
Well, what if we had the ability to trace who bought that head of lettuce?
Right. Right.
And all of a sudden you go, boy, I hope they're watching TV and haven't used the
no,
lettuce already, right?
Well, yeah. Well, and we've got potentially the ability to alert people anonymously by cell
proactively,
phone.
yes.
Just like every time I turn around, there's another COVID thing that's coming.
Exactly.
Just making sure that I didn't have any contacts.
The
Same thing, I think, when we look at like those types of health issues.
And once you start talking about this stuff, all of a sudden the ideas just start coming.
Oh, I know.
Because there's all
Well,
kinds
and that
of
was
ways
what this actual event was for me. But also, I saw it in a lot of other conversations where there were what I call aha moments, where people were putting things together that before, it wasn't just trying to find a new supplier; it was finding new innovation, new ways to approach some of the existing problems that are out there, and not let this moment pass us by, because we're in a more learning ready place, because we're dealing with all the COVID issues and all the things that have happened in the last year and a half, and we're open to new solutions, and because the old ones aren't working.
Well, exactly, and for global sourcing solutions, it's very easy for us to go down and talk to, the whole cluster or
Yeah.
a whole bunch of organizations and help get the word out.
Yeah.
By us always being, understanding the edge of technology, we can actually help you get the word out more broadly.
Well, and if I understand correctly, you're not just going to be in aeronautics and automotive. You're going to be opening some of these events around other
Absolutely.
supply chain issues. So medical
Yeah.
devices obviously is one that you're thinking about. Any others that you're looking at?
Aerospace, really regulated industries
Okay.
is where I'm most comfortable, because that's my background.
Sure.
So, and that's where you need the traceability
Right.
and all of that. So, we're talking
But
about
pharmaceuticals.
pharmaceuticals,
Are we gonna have a cannabis
aerospace.
conference?
Hey, let's have a cannabis one. But those types of things,
CBD.
yeah,
Okay.
those types of things are real opportunities.
Yeah.
People here, we're all looking to get into Mexico, and they don't know how to do it,
Right.
or they're it's taking too much time.
Yeah.
So,
Well, this has reduced a whole lot of that friction.
oh yeah,
A lot of people, now know that they can. Well, and even one of your sponsors that I enjoyed getting to know, the Auto Cluster Group,
Yeah.
they're in a place where they can actually help make those connections. That's their job, is to make sure that those introductions happen. And I know you have a way to bring people in to these markets in a way that gives them that trusted connection, which I think
Absolutely.
that human piece is really important. Because you can find somebody in a directory, but making sure when you head out, you have the right meetings with the right people and get the things done. That just takes a lot of. Well, even here, I mean, it was very clear you had a lot of the right people in the room, and that made it much more.
and like
A lot of deals were done today.
auto aftermarket,
Yeah.
company came and they said, "Hey, we need your help. We have to get." They have 350,000 parts. We need to get some of those sourced in
Yeah.
Mexico, and let's sit down and create that strategy of how to go in and attack it.
If you do any research on this and you can get people to share what the deal flow was here today, I'm pretty sure there were, close to $1 billion worth of deals that were just done today.
Yeah, very
Or
possible.
maybe more. But
Yeah.
Certainly, I was seeing a lot of people finding not just new partners, but even deeper engagement with existing ones. So it was a very synergistic in terms of creating that flow. So.
Yeah, I mean, people commented that there wasn't any wasted time.
Right.
Right? It was
Now,
it was people here that were organized and ready to
Yeah.
do business, and that everybody here related to the other in some
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
We're actually going to go down to the cluster, and we are going to go through a typical certification process for a whole bunch of companies. So we can take that then and take the data to potential customers, so they actually have all of their legwork completely done.
Yeah.
And then they can look at 10 different companies, and the documents are all the same.
Yeah.
And so they can go through them more quickly and thoroughly and
Well, I mean,
have that
just,
confidence.
again, anything you can do to create flow is going to be that much more useful. And I think when you look at Asia, there's a lot of things that create friction over there. And I'm not saying that they haven't figured some of this out, but we're paying a greater and greater price for that. And it's not just labor, it's not just logistics and shipping. It's actually the fact that their standard of living has gotten so much up that now they're outsourcing to Vietnam and to other places in order to get competitive on things. So the labor's moving all out through Southeast Asia, from what I see.
Yeah, and where the complications are is because we've been over there for so long.
Yeah.
All the infrastructure around it, like equipment and expertise, is now over there. So what we have to do is start to bring some of that back to
especially in electronics.
I
I mean, they not only is the expertise So is the patents and the actual intellectual property that builds it.
Exactly.
We don't actually have that ownership here, and I think people, especially if this were seen by computer consumers, they just think, well, we just need to get the factories back here, and that's not really the case.
No.
We have to get a lot more pieces of it so that we have the ownership of it and can continue to innovate like we have. I mean, I think it's one thing to lose the human capacity, but I think it's the intellectual capacity that's also a big drain for us.
Yeah. I mean, they've gotten so good at reverse engineering products.
Yeah.
That they can do it so quickly.
And one of the things is they were really good at copying, and now they're actually moving to the next layer, and they're innovating. They're making stuff up that we don't do, and that's a competitive advantage we've always had, and we're seeing that eroded in my world, in the experiences I've had, much more rapidly in the last 5 years than it's ever been. And I think that's something where, it's not always about competing, but it is about being able to have the quality we want to have and not be completely dependent on a market that may or may not be favorable to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And, especially we just don't know what's happening over there politically.
Well, we do. It's not good.
Yeah, exactly.
But we don't say that out loud.
The big thing is what we'd like to do is try to get some Chinese companies to actually come down and build in Mexico to help on some of that electronics and get it closer. Because I talk to people all the time that are after electronics, and there's just no other. There's just no other options but to get it from over there.
Yeah, no, and I think in some cases, because, for example, Taiwan. I mean, they have a lot of just if you look at Wi-Fi alone, they have a lot of the patents there, and you can't go somewhere else to have it fabricated. You have to go where the technology's on.
Right.
And that puts you in a dependency that gives them a lot more leverage, both on price and on supply. But I think we need to look at how we incentivize to make sure we don't have those insignificant dependencies.
But
So,
if you look at computer chips, right?
Right.
TSMC, which is a Taiwanese company, is building absolute huge plant here.
yeah,
And they're okay. Why would you go into Intel's backyard? Well, in reality, Intel's their biggest customer.
right.
So they're here to actually help Intel because Intel
Right.
doesn't
It's-
have the
it's a full-
technology
yeah.
to be able to do what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I really want to make sure that as we finish up here, we talk a little bit more about what's next. I mean, I know medical devices is probably close on the horizon, but where do you see us being, maybe next year or next quarter?
Yeah, we really want to do this every quarter.
Okay.
And what we're doing is we're going to communicate, set up meetings with everybody that's attended, and get their ideas on how we can do this better and more
Okay.
efficiently moving
Yep.
forward. We've already gotten some great feedback.
Great.
And from there, we're going to connect really several of the companies and to be able to go down to Chihuahua to find
Yeah.
solutions for them. There was a company here today that is prototyping right now, and they desperately need some parts on metal.
Right.
And it's basically surrounding the battery in a electric vehicle. And so we're down, and next week we'll give them 3 new suppliers that they would have never known existed.
Sure. Yeah,
So-
that discovery piece seems like it's pretty crucial for
Yeah.
what value.
So what we're talking about, it's October, so we want to have one very early next year.
Okay.
And what we're looking at is where do we have that? And we Phoenix is home, so
Sure.
it makes it easy.
It's
But
easy, yeah.
we need to bring this around into
Yeah.
other areas. So you can expect it to come into some of the major economic centers.
Okay.
A good one would be Chicago or the East Coast for sure, and possibly Southern California, where especially with medical device
So
and
like Irvine or something
where
like that.
Irvine, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know you have our support. We're excited because with a blockchain technology like what we have, we're looking for innovative companies that want to explore how we can actually make a better future, one that we all
Absolutely.
want to live in.
And the power is working together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you're really going to get this energy, and,
Yeah.
and that's how we can really, make this all happen faster.
I'm Chief Collaboration Officer for a reason.
Mhm.
Thank you. I really
Thanks.
appreciate the time.
Really
Thanks,
enjoy
Tom,
you guys
for having
coming.
us together.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.